I hope I can hear what you're saying.
I'll speak very loud, don't worry. Right. So, your name is?
Fred Bunford.
And can you tell us where you were born?
Yes, in Grant Street. That's off Garnet Street, the bottom of Leeds Road.
In Bradford?
Yes, in Bradford, yes.
When was that?
In January 1914.
The year the Great War broke out.
That's true, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I was born before it started.
Yes. So that, I suppose that was an experience for you. Did your father have to go off to the war?
Yes, my father was in the army, but it was invalided out. So, and, well, we never talked, I never heard anything about it, you know.
You were very young then.
Yes, and, well, we didn't talk a great deal about things, didn't your father, to you? Mm. He was at work and he came home and that was it. He went.
What did he do for a job apart from the army?
Well, he was a sawyer, a wood machinist. He worked on in a cabinet factory down Hall Lane.
That was making good furniture?
Yes, he was sawing the plank. He was the original wood that sawed the original planks up. You know, the first with the big, what they call a swinging crosscut. So.
Would that have been mainly local wood?
Oh no, no, no. It was. I think it would be about one of the first manufacturers of furniture in Bradford, modern style. You know, machinery and that. It was it was the biggest furniture firm in Bradford. Wilkinson's of all them.
Mm-hmm. And what do you remember of your very early days and playing games and the sort of house you lived in? Can you remember those?
Well, I can remember a lot of things. Don't think of anything that...
Tell us the sort of house you lived in.
Well, we always had a shop. My mother kept the shop and it was a small shop. We sold sweets and, well, a bit of fruit, and it was just an odds and ends shop. But we've moved to 3 or 4 places, but we always had a shop.
So you lived over the shop, did you?
Mm, yeah. Yes, and yeah. The first thing I can remember about is being lost down, well, I was told where it was afterwards, but I must have got lost down Leeds Road and I was taken into a police station. It's now, I don't know what it is now, it's in a police station now. And I don't know, but my mother came for me, given the bobby gave me a cup of tea, well, not a cup of tea, it was a glass of something, I don't know what it was really, I've forgotten, but I had no idea of being worried about it. Because
adventurous.
I don't know. And I can remember going to school, the very first being taken to school by my mother, and it was Bradford Moor School, and came home at playtime.
You weren't stopping?
No, and I mean, we didn't get taken to school regularly when you went on your own. But this morning, this was the first time, and I just went home. Yeah.
You thought it was over for the day?
Yeah. Yes, I can...
Did you like your school?
Yes. I've just been talking to a young woman on there about it. I've all good memories of school. In fact, I was watching a play on television and it were on about bullying at school. And I can't remember anything like that bullying. I can't remember any bullying at all. We used to play about gangs, you know, get into trouble, being chased by the police once or twice for, I don't know, pinching apples and various other silly things.
It was that sort of team that...
Yes, you were in a, well, it wasn't a team, it were a gang. You were a, that's right, you were in a gang, you know, and we all lived near each other, and we all went to the same school. So that you knew everybody, you see. And when you came home, you knew you were still together. You weren't split up like they are today. Different schools for different neighbourhoods. No.
Can you remember some of the games you used to play? I suppose you played in the street, did you?
Yes, yes, we did. Some, well, silly games, really, when I come to think of them. You know, tapping it. We used to have a habit of fastening a pin to a window frame with a bit of cotton on and a button, and tapping it, and, you know, a long way off. And a woman had come out and look round and then tap it again. Then they'd realise because it was, you know, and then they'd be after you.
Boys, real devils.
That's, well, and all, well, the games we played, it was just a game called Relievo, running around the streets. I can't remember what the rules were. We used to run miles. And tin can squat, of course. Everybody played that.
What was that? How'd you play that?
You had a tin can, you were a tin can there, and you were inside, and you put the tin can out. No, one man was chosen as a guide, and he covered his eyes, and he set off and hid, you see, and then he'd to find you, and take you back to the tin can. You were done then, you were on his scent. But the thing was, the others, while he was away, somebody'd come and kick the tin can away. You see, so he'd to come back and put it in. It was a never-ending game. You know, there was no end to it. Just a matter of somebody were hit, and he had to look after the tin can, and you kicked it away and run away, and he searched for it. And we used to swing on lampposts. It's a funny thing, that. Climbing up and swing on that crossbar, you know. And they used to have skipping ropes fastened at, of course, in the middle of the street. No, a lot of silly games until you got a bit older, and then, oh dear, jumping, going for plot night wood. You know, we used to have a bonfire, and of course there were no trees or wood, there were long streets of houses, and you had to go around and scrounge whatever wood. When I say scrounge, I mean pinch it. You know, get bushes, chop trees down, branches, anywhere. And well, we used to go, the thing I can't get over today is they don't go for walks. No, of course, when we had holidays, we didn't go away. We didn't go away. I never saw the sea till I was 13, and then I went with my brother in the tent and about 6 more of us. No.
And where did you go then? Scotland?
To Blackpool. Yes, and we went, I don't know, somebody had got a lorry to take the tent, and we went on the train, and we pitched the tent in a field. And I'm trying to think now, I don't think I had any money. Because they were all older than, they were just another lad my age, or 12, I think it's, 12, about 12, something like that. And we just walked up and down Blackpool Promenade, and when it, and cooking, ooh, food. In fact, we had to go beg something from in the same field as we were in. There were, I think it was Boys' Brigade, and we'd lit a fire and it blew out, you know. My brother, of course, took us for meals, but otherwise, that's it. Yeah. And then I never went to seaside again until I was 19. And then I went to holiday camp at Isle of Man. Yeah, 6 of us. Of course, that were working then. I'd saved. Oh yes, I left school at 14, and I was went to be I didn't know what I went to be as I was taken. I never even thought about it. Nobody thought about, well, not
You do. No.
about when you were at school. Nobody thought what you were going to do. You just left school and went and got a job, unless of course your father was a shopkeeper and he took you. You went to a secondary school then, you see. But when I left school, my father just took me to where he worked, and he'd arranged for me to be an apprentice. I didn't know. I just went in, and they said, oh, well, go with this woman, will take you up to shop, and I was an apprentice, that's it.
So did you become a furniture maker?
A French polisher.
Oh, yeah.
A French polisher.
That's a wonderful skill.
It was a real, you know, it was a good job, a right good job, and people, when they know where I worked, Wilkinson down Hall Lane, everybody says, ooh, hell, that was a sweatshop. And it wasn't, it was a real shop. I had a good time there, right happy time. Yes, I travelled all over polishing, you know, from the firm.
You'd learn a lot about good quality furniture, wouldn't you?
Well, it wasn't good quality. As I say, it was the first mass production firm. It started the method of breaking the job up into semi-skilled pieces. One man would normally, you see, well, I was an apprentice and I learnt it all, but they had a system of one man would stain everything. That's all he did, and he didn't need any training for that. He just stained it, and then then other men would coat it with a brush, paint it, you know, just one coat. Need no training for that, 10 minutes sort of time. And then it went to fellows that did other parts, but then it became skilled then to colour it and get it all the right colour, and the finishing became. But the early part was sort of mass production, so that, well, they could get a lot done and cheaper.
But then I expect people ask you to go and do...
Oh, yes, you never finished. There were always people. But it's something I didn't do a lot of it. You know, I never used to like... The thing is, there wasn't a lot of furniture. It seems hard when I think about it that people didn't have a lot of furniture, working people. They had a sideboard and a table and some chairs, yeah. But as regards, and that was, the table would be a white top and polished legs, and the sideboard, of course, that's about the only thing that they did have. And that's, of course, at the time when it started, as I say, mass production, and people started getting it then. A lot of shops, big shops, that not combines, J's and Campbell's, that had department shops all over England.
What happened to you when the war came?
Well, again, I've just been saying this to a woman downstairs. I was called up, of course, and
into what, the army? Or?
Into the army, and I know I don't talk a lot about it because I had a good job, and I had 6 years, the best years of my life. I was never in. I can't explain. I was lucky. I was lucky. I was called up to a big empty house, you know, in the King's Own Scottish Borderers. And it was a time just after Dunkirk. And there were no clothes, no ammunition, no guns. I was training for long enough in a suit and a cardboard gas mask on my back. And of course, they were short of men, and they were training, and I was sent away on a carder to be an NCO within 6-7 weeks, and then, you know, they were promoted quick. And I was lucky then. I was sent to different places. I finished up as an instructor here and different camps, and a good, you know, when my friends that were called up.
We were very vulnerable then, weren't we? If Hitler followed us across it, done.
As I say, we wandered around with nothing, and when we did get, in fact, I did my training, and the first, well, I saw the sergeant had a rifle, and that was only one, and we used to do it, practice without it there, holding it up and, you know, press it and putting in imaginary cartridges in, going through the motions. And then when we had to fire, of course, you know, I'd never had hold of a rifle. And to fire, when I was led, I'd never seen a shell. I was amazed at the size of it. It was. People had no idea, we'd no. And then when we got rifles, of course, and ammunition, we had to carry them about with us. When you went out, when you went home, when you went out at night, you went out for a drink, you had to carry a rifle and 50 rounds of ammunition. And then, of course, America come in, and there was side training and more training, and I was moved from one place to another, and I did that.
On D-Day, which we shall celebrate this year.
Yeah, well, I was in Edinburgh, in a camp there. They had a training part of it, and can't remember much about it now then, because we went down into Edinburgh. Oh, in D-Day, yes, so we were just mentioned it. But when it finished, we went down into Edinburgh, couldn't even get a drink, because they shut the doors to keep us out, because a lot of soldiers in Edinburgh, you know. And we went back, that's it. No, it was a good, I've had a good time. And
made a lot of friends.
Well, no, not in the army, because I for some strange means I was moved. The camp was closed. I went to a training establishment, and as I trained them and posted them away to different places, and then they closed it down because I got enough, and then I was moved somewhere else constantly. But all in good places. In Kimnell Park, that was a permanent army camp. There was a show on TV about it once. It was where it was a wartime camp in the First War, and there was a bit of a revolt between I think the Canadians or Australian soldiers who wanted to go home, and there's a, you know, there was a program on about it. There was a bit of a mutiny because I couldn't get home. But it was good to me, you see, because previously I'd been in billets, huts, tents, everywhere. But now I got in a permanent camp, and from there I was sent to and I was sent to Prestatyn, holiday camp. I mean, it's terrible, isn't it?
It was a Butlins, wasn't it?
Yes.
After the war.
Yes, and oh dear.
And do you remember where you were and when you heard that the end of the war had come?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. At the end of the war,
you were there.
I was in Edinburgh. There, another camp, good place, bus ride out of town.
And how did you hear of the news? On the radio? Or?
Yes, well, you know, not to come shouting out, because somebody did it. We were outside, and oh, it's finished, you know, oh, it's all over. And no, as I say, I don't, because all my friends that were in Africa and abroad in Japan, Germany, and you know, went through hell. I don't say a lot about it because I can't.
Yeah.
And
And
no.
did you have to stay in long after the end of the war before you were...
I was demobbed in 46, January 46, yes, that's right, 46. No, February 46. Yes, but even then I was in a holiday, another camp that were, and of course there was nothing to do. Nothing to do between the war finishing and I could tell a lot of tales about that, but I won't. No.
Of course, they kept an occupation force in Germany.
Yes, they did. In fact, they came and said, right-o, a lot of us that were permanents, that had been regular, to go to Japan. Oh, they were sending them on leave. Oh, there were some terrible words said about it, you know. Because, I mean, as I say, I'd had a good time. Oh, no. But again, I didn't get it finished altogether before they got them going. And it was just a matter of wasting time then.
And then did you come back to your same job in the cabinet makers?
Well, no, I'd left before I went in. I'd left that. And I went in a shop, a furniture shop, looking after going out to people's houses and seeing everything was all right. If it was scratched, marked it all, and I went back to that and left that and went to another place, and yeah. As I say, I've always been in work and never been short.
You chose the right trade, didn't you?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Well, there again, he never was short of work, you know. So when I read, and I'm interested in history. Well, several books, and I read about the times, and I think to myself, I can't remember that. I didn't do that. But at the same time, the lads I played with didn't seem to be. You know, there's a lot of talk about how they suffered and God knows what, but when you were young you didn't notice it. If you'd no money, well, of course you didn't have any. You went to school, did nothing. It didn't worry you. It didn't bother you. No, it's a lot.
Would you remember the general strike? You'd be...
Just
26, yeah.
Yes, I can remember. The only thing I can remember about it is going up Westgate. We lived up Manningham Way then. Going up Westgate from school, and there was a mill on the left-hand side, and they were on strike, and the police there, and they were, you know, to get out of the way because there was a bit of scuffling and that. But of course, again, father were working because it were in furniture, we know what to do with it. No.
But they had volunteer policemen and busmen and all sorts, didn't they?
Yes, they did. And as I say, there were trouble. There were all this, you know, miners and that and mill work particularly. But I don't think my father was. No, he wasn't on strike. No. Because as I say, woodworking, it was different union. Yes. Oh, and there were no union, that's it. That's it. There were no unions in it. Didn't join a union until after I'd left that firm.
So what do you think are the biggest changes you've seen in your life over all these years?
The biggest changes is there's so many, I can't say that. When I think of all the way you were looked at when you left school, when you played about, you were left on your own. Your parents, well, to me, they didn't bother about you, you know, until it was late at night, and you played about, and then they had to got called in, and there's another thing that the parents would come out and shout, "Joe," or whoever it was, and they'd come and go home. And of course now they don't go out, do they? They don't play about. And we're past time we're playing about. And but work to me is that they've changed, though, that there's full time and people have plenty of money and a lot of entertainment. But when you went to work, everybody complained about work, most anyway. Oh hell, you know, mills, particular slave driving, it's a sweatshop. And yet everybody you talk to has happy memories of work, because you went, and no matter what it was there, you went in, and of course people lived near where they worked, so that you knew them.
Community.
Yes, a community, getting them to school. And you went to work at Monday morning and they were all like, oh, what's happened this, what's happened that. Even when you were working, a lot of people, conversation, talk. And now it's got so that no matter what you do, you're just a machine. I pity people going to work now. Even, I've just been saying to a woman downstairs again, talking about work. When I was a lad and you left school, if your father had got you into a grammar, you had gone to a secondary school, he expected you to go to a bank or an office. Ooh, hell, you know, you were a posh if you went to a bank or office. A girl who went to a bank, of course, lovely job, clean, dressed up. And it was, they could talk and that, and could get up and down. But now, and I don't care who they are, office workers, shop workers, mill workers, they go to work, and where there were 40, 50 people working in a place, there's 2 or 3, and they can't talk because they've a quota, the machines are going. You go into a bank or an office, and they're all sat there with a computer. They can't talk to the girl next door. They can't get up and go to the files at the back and say, you know, where were you last week? Have you been to so? No conversation. And that goes for everywhere. I noticed a man, they dug the field up at the back of where I worked, where I live, a few years ago, a couple of years ago. It was, there was a tunnel run under it and they filled it in. Whereas they would have had 10 men with picks and shovels and filling it in and telling a tale and having a smoke. A fella comes with a big digger and he sat in that digger all day, and there was only him. He dug it out and he piled it up and he pushed it about, and when I used to watch him, and when it come dinner time, he got his food out and a thermos flask and he sat in his little glass cabin. And I thought, my God, what a job. You send anybody that thinks at all, you send him mad. But they all do that now, don't they? They can't talk. When they go home, there's telly, you go in and watch telly. You can't, they don't talk because there's nothing to talk about.
Somebody was telling me in one of our interviews how Christmas has changed for them. And Christmas used to be such a wonderful...
It was really, as I say, the Christmases I remember, of course, when I started work and I had a bit of money. And you had gangs going out, we used to go dancing to different people's houses at night, you know, you had girls, a party here, a party there. And it well, considered today, for young men, same as I was 18, 19, well, if I told my grandson the party I've gone to where you played Postman's Knock, you know, I think, but it was real. And you may have had a bottle of wine to drink and all, ooh, hell, in the real time, and a bit of kissing and cuddling. Now, oh dear, they don't have that.
I think the kissing and cuddling still goes on, you know.
Yeah, yes, but it's wild somehow. I don't think they've any, because they do too much of it. they're always out, aren't they? You know, when you're little, you went to a Christmas or holiday time, and it was a thing to look forward to.
The family coming together.
That's right, the piano playing. I know I have a piano, my wife's, and she played piano, and that's what we did, you see. We'd go down at night when in family and play piano and sing, and but now, oh no, you go up and the tallies are, oh God.
Yes, I can remember my family having what we call musical evenings, when the friends had come round.
Yes, well, you see, again, there were families and they all lived together. When they got married, well, they lived with the parents, most of them, and then they'd wait till a house become vacant somewhere on the street, round the corner, and they all lived together. But nowadays, there's no families live together at all, is there? So there's no get-together unless it's a special occasion. Whereas we used to go Saturday night, have a few drinks and go and play the piano. Before I got married, like my wife's mother, she had brothers and sisters and cousins, and when you went on holiday, we went in a big group, 20, 30, even though it was to Blackpool, Morecambe, it's immaterial. You'd all laughing and entertainment because you were, you made your own sort of style. Yes, and we you didn't have a lot of money to spend, because it's a thing, I talked a bit since that, when I got married, my wife and I, 1936 it was, we went to Blackpool for us all. It was normal, everybody went to Blackpool if you lived in Bradford. I mean, you knew everybody that were in Blackpool. In fact, the fella, there was a dance hall up Westgate called Gledhill's, and the fella that taught it there, a big fat man called Bob Gledhill, and that's where he taught, and he to learn dancing, waltzing, foxtrot. At Bowling Tide Week, when all Bradford was in Blackpool, he was MC at the Tower. They even went there, so. And
you said Bowling Tide Week, what was that?
Well, that was it, Bowling Tide, that was the holiday week.
The Wakes Week sort of thing.
Yes, the Wakes Week. Bradford shut down. It shut down, the shops were shut, well, everything was shut. There were nobody about. They were all in Blackpool or Morecambe. Didn't go much further. Cleethorpes, Redcar, they used to run a special train from Dudley Hill to Cleethorpes for holidays.
People used to tell me that the smoke stopped from the mills and you could actually see across the valleys when the Wakes...
It's funny that, it is, yes. Because, as I say, everything closed. They used to... The old town, the shops shut, the banks... No, there were nothing if you were at home. And then the fair came, there were a fair for Bowling Tide Fair, Bowling Tide. But otherwise, and as I say, when I got married, and the first holiday we had to Blackpool, with, of course, a mother and father and a brother and his wife and 2 children and, about 12, 14 of it. And we went, and you can hardly believe it. We used to write, to Blackpool digs. Oh, starting in January you'd be writing, can you put us up? But you only got bed only. And it was 2 shillings a night per person. We could go, and we did. You could go on holiday, and you used to take your own food, if you could. You used to save tin stuff, Oh, hell, you'd a underweight of luggage with tin food and all sorts in. And then when you got to your dig, they used to give you your good dining room. That's all, there were no lounge, you were a dining room, you'd bed. And there were cupboards. And they give everybody a cupboard, this is your cupboard. And you put your food in there. And at breakfast time, you got your the cups and saucers are laid out and everything, the table was laid, but you got your whatever you're going to eat, you got your bread out and your butter, and the landlady used to do your cooking. And I'm smiling now because I've told this tale before, and a fella, every time I tell it, every time I see him laughs, can you remember Blackpool? When you went in at night, you know, if you were having, you had to put your breakfast out at morning. If you wanted bacon frying, you put your bacon out with your name on. And eggs, you put your egg out, and you wrote on it, boiled or fried. and then, and I used to think many times, and your name. Many times I used to think, I bet I haven't got my egg. You never know. And the total cost of that was your bed and your cooking was 2 shillings a night each. And they used to charge you, because as I said, they tell you like the cruet, salt and pepper, they used to charge you 6pence for that a week. And we could go on holiday on the bus from Bradford to Blackpool, from West Yorkshire, taking some food and buying what you wanted, you know, anything, fruit or any different things, ham for tea. Pair of us, we could go there and come back for £5. That when I got married, £5. That was a lot. And as I said, the stuff you took with you, the thing stuff and God.
So when you see the holidays advertised at 600...
Oh, I can't. When I look at it, I think, oof, dearie me. Of course, it's still cheap at Blackpool, apparently. And, of course, they don't do that now. When you had your breakfast, you had to go out and come back at dinner time, and when you'd had your dinner, you had to go out. If it were raining, well, you had to walk around Woolworth. But as I say, you were all together, and
you used to go to the Tower Ballroom.
Yes, oh, I don't
the
know.
organ.
Yes, yes.
Reginald Dixon for many years.
Yes, he was, and as I say, one day Bob Gledhill would be there emceeing, and if you haven't seen Blackpool Tower dancing at Bowling Tide Week, it was so crowded. It would, and they used to have men, there'd be 3 or 4 men, clear the floor after each dance. And you used to have to actually push them back off the floor. It was so crowded. Having a real time. It was. And you knew everybody again. And oh hell, I don't know. And it was good, you see, it was good. Because your food were there, you were waited on. No, well, it's real. But now, of course, oh dear, they send prisoners for that, don't they now? Yes. So, you see, as I say, I've been lucky. I can't talk about all the poor things because I've been lucky all in having a job and been through the war and been fairly well in health, sort of stuff. My wife died 20 years ago nearly, but otherwise I'm all right. I've had a good time, and I can't talk about anything that was hard. I know about it, but not personally. I know about people, well, my wife's relations before the war when they were unemployed and they had, I don't know what they call them now, you got relief, that's it, you didn't get. And when you'd been on relief, a man used to come round from poor law, they call it poor law, and he'd look round your house, and if you'd any nice furniture, you'd to sell it. You'd to sell it. And if your children, if you had some children and they grew up and started work, you got their money knocked off your relief. because that was you were only allowed so much money to come in to live on. And well, I know people like that. I've known several, but not me, because I used to think, oh God, how do they manage? I don't know the thing today, because I'm on dole better off than I was when I was working. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
Right.
Thanks ever so much for talking to us. Really good.